look, man, when you go through a spiritual awakening process, everything in your life will start to shift. And this shift might make you think that you are suffering from psychosis. So how do you know the difference between the two? If you're having a spiritual awakening or if you're just suffering from psychosis? Well, today we're gonna break that bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Now, you yourself may have had a spiritual awakening experience. Maybe it was recently, maybe it was a couple years before, or you're about to have one. Maybe that's the case. So how do you know if the spiritual awakening process is something that's legit, that's concrete, that's something that's gonna help you in your life, or if you're just crashing out, burning out, and just suffering from psychosis? Well, this difference in between the two is actually, there is no difference. You see, a spiritual awakening is the art of going through a psychotic breakdown. And when I say psychotic breakdown, I'm not trying to say that this is something bad, this is something negative, this is something you should be scared of. Because what a spiritual awakening process does is take your preconceptions of life, of reality, of everything that you've experienced thus far, and just breaks it down, piece by piece, layer by layer, shred by shred. It's just taking everything that you've once thought was reality, throw it in the trash can, and helping you start off brand new. But now with a more expanded perspective, with a perspective of understanding that you are not just a mind and you are not just a body, but you are something much deeper than that, and that is the soul that is experiencing the mind and body, that's using the mind to help navigate this vessel, this vehicle, which is the body. Shout out to the Patreon. First video I dropped on there. How to become a divine vessel for God. If you want to tap into the Patreon, get up on some more game when it comes to exclusive videos, full guides, in-depth occult lectures, monthly masterminds, and much more. Go check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video. Everything's gonna be posted there, whether that's my one-on-one consultation calls, whether it's one-on-one coaching, all that good stuff, man. But that in essence is what's gonna happen during your spiritual awakening experience. I talked about before on this channel, what's the difference between spiritual awakenings and self-realization? Well, you can go check that out after this, but today it's more of the spiritual awakening and psychosis. So that in essence are like the two same things, because psychosis is when you think that you're going crazy because everything that you thought in life was true was now false. Spiritual awakening is the same thing. Everything that you once thought was true, the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, is becoming false. You start peering through the veil. You start seeing through the illusion. You start sifting and shifting your way through the matrix. You see the Maya for what it is. And it's only for a specific period of time during the awakening process. But that, once you taste it, once you get a little dose of the red pill, if you want to call it that, not the red pill, the dating alpha stuff like that, but the red pill of the truth, aka like the movie in the Matrix. The red pill is embodying the truth, encapsulates the truth of reality. That's what happens. Once you get a little taste of it, once you get your own dose of it, you cannot go back. So that's why you might feel like you're having a psychotic breakdown or having a psychotic episode, because your old life, your old self can now no longer coexist with this new knowledge and new information that you've gathered through the spiritual awakening experience. Maybe that was through a traumatic thing happening in your life. Maybe that was through psychedelics. Maybe that was through deep stages of meditation. I don't know. There's many different paths to have a spiritual awakening experience. But at the end of the day, the core essence, the core value you get from it is that you shift and you break out of the mold and you break out of the matrix that's keeping your mind in its lower states of consciousness, in its lower capabilities. And it's not letting it ascend to its fullest capabilities, to its fullest potential. That's where the soul and your spiritual development comes into play. Like I've talked about before on this channel, self-improvement caps out at a certain point. What you need next, once you graduate after that, is self-mastery. That's mastering the mind, mastering the body, and mastering the soul to help achieve this state of self-realization. A spiritual awakening process is the catalyst, is the starting point to that. Everything else before that was you essentially sleepwalking throughout life. You're going from BC, before consciousness, not before Christ, BC, before consciousness, to AC, after consciousness. You become conscious of your own consciousness, if that makes sense. You become conscious of all the inner workings of your own mind, all the inner workings of the underlying nature of human nature, the underlying nature of reality. All that stuff starts to compile and compound and come out into the forefront during your spiritual awakening experience. But it matters what you do with it. Like we talk about on this channel, semen retention just being a tool to help elevate yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to achieve your highest potential in life. A spiritual awakening is just a tool. It's a starting point. A lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people on social media will make this whole spiritual awakening experience the end all be all. That's just ground zero. That's level 1. You just got in the game. Now let's go and play. Now let's go get some buckets. Now let's go get a win. This is the start of your spiritual journey. And you might have started your spiritual journey already and you might not have a spiritual awakening experience yet. But for most people, this is the start of them taking it seriously, to understand that, whoa, this isn't all life has to offer. This isn't the end all be all. My mind and my body are just tools. There's something deeper that's organizing everything, that's directing everything. And I haven't been connected to that. How do I connect deeper into that? And this is why spiritual wisdom and spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices are so key within this physical plane, within the modern world. That's why just self-improvement ain't gonna be enough, bro. Self-improvement ain't gonna be enough. Getting money, getting muscles, that's great, but that's only one aspect of improving your life and improving yourself to the best version. There's something deeper that needs to be instilled in you, and that's instilled through spiritual practices, through spiritual wisdom. And funny enough, traditional wisdom and traditional knowledge is about accumulating more information. When you go through a spiritual awakening and you start your spiritual development journey and actually connecting with your soul, it's about unlearning. It's not the same as traditional knowledge where you're trying to accumulate more and more and more and more knowledge, more information, more wisdom. It's about unlearning and then tapping back into the divine wisdom, the inner wisdom that's always there, that's always been there, aka Gnosis. Shout out to the School of Gnosis for all you guys out there who are in that tier of the Patreon membership. Shout out to y'all. Gnosis is knowledge or divine knowledge only found within. That is what we are working towards with these spiritual practices, with all these concepts and ideas that we wrestle with our minds when it comes to the spiritual aspect of reality. When you do this, when you go beyond the mind and body and go beyond your limiting beliefs and go beyond the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, you start breaking into your higher self. You start hearing your higher self more. And people might equate that to psychosis. Bro, I am completely shifting my life 180 after the spiritual awakening experience. I'm going crazy. I can't go back into my old ways. I can't go back doing all my old stuff. I can't go back hanging around the same people. This isn't me. No, it is you. All that other stuff before was a false perception of you, was a false idea of you, was all programming, was all conditioning by society, by your environment, by everything else that wasn't your true essence. So embrace that. Embrace that psychotic episode. Embrace that psychotic period of your life of unlearning what you were learned to be, what you were taught to be, and start learning who you were always meant to be. Let me say that again. Unlearn who you were always taught to be and relearn who you were always meant to be. This is what the spiritual awakening will ignite in you. That thirst, that quench, that overall desire to see yourself grow in all aspects of life, not just mentally, not just physically, but also spiritually. And put that all together because each and every single one of them feeds into each other. It's the Holy Trinity, the mind, body, and soul. The mind is the Father. The physical body is the Son, and the Holy Spirit, of course, is the soul. If you want to bring it into the biblical or Christian perspective, the mind, body, and soul. Keep that in mind. That's the real Holy Trinity. That is what we're trying to improve That's what we're trying to embody, the highest version of ourselves, and master each aspect of it. And you can't do that until you actually are able to let go of all your perceived conceptions and all your perceived programmings from before. A spiritual awakening forces you to do that. And if you haven't had that yet, you might take a little bit longer to be able to let go of these things. But a spiritual awakening experience, especially coupled with an ego death, will force you, no matter what. You can't hide away from it. You can't kind of out ego yourself out of an ego death. It's just gonna break everything. It's gonna shred it to pieces. And when you shred it to pieces, now you finally have all these compartments to you, or the fucking helicopter. You have all these compartments and aspects to you that you now rebuild and reshape and remold to your own picture, because you're being guided now, not by other people, not by other people's agendas, not by other people's wants and needs, but through God, through the universe. You're being guided. Now you're becoming a divine vessel for God to act out your dharma, aka your soul's purpose, why you were brought here. So it might be completely different than the things that you were pursuing before. You might have been pursuing this certain type of career, but the universe or God wants you to pursue this. It's already had a predated divine fate for you to help elevate the conscious level of humanity through this path. And now you are walking with it. When you learn to walk with it, you won't feel quote unquote crazy anymore. You won't feel like you're going through a psychotic episode anymore. You are now walking with the divine. You are now walking with God. You are now listening to your higher self, listening to that inner guide, and listening to that inner guru. A lot of people don't have that inner dialogue. It's not them. It's somebody or something else. It's what the TV shows them. It's what social media shows them. It's what their parents have told them. It's what school has told them. It's what society in general has told them. That is what's going on in their mind. That's their inner dialogue. It isn't the higher self. It isn't God phone lining and direct calling you through intuition, through awakening your spiritual senses. It's man-made. It's a matrix. It's a Maya. It's an illusion of programming that's going to shift your mindset to follow a certain agenda. When you spiritually awaken, you shred through that. You pierce through that. You get out of that nonsense. And when you get out of that nonsense, you open up the capabilities to awaken to your true calling in life, to your true purpose in life. That's why, again, self-improvement itself will not get you to that point of becoming your best self. It's just improving yourself. Mastering yourself is how you become the best version. Think about an artist. Think about a sculptor. Think about an inventor. Those people didn't improve their inventions. They didn't improve their art. They didn't improve their crafts. They mastered it. And the same thing goes on with life on the mental, physical, and spiritual planes. So you need to realize that, and you need to embrace that after your spiritual awakening or throughout your spiritual development journey. When you're going through these hard times where it's like your old self and your new self or the higher self battling against each other, you got to be able to detach. Realize that the old self was there for the time being. It was good. You had a bunch of experiences, but now it's time to step into your higher self. You were called to do so. Something happened. It wasn't by mistake that you had a spiritual awakening, is what I'm trying to say. God, the universe, the Almighty, the Divine One, whatever you want to call it, does not make mistakes. You had a spiritual awakening experience for a reason. And that is to help push you towards a path that you've always were supposed to be on. To help push you towards your ultimate purpose. To help you push you towards your ultimate potential in life. We didn't come here to tap into 70% of our potential, 80% of our potential, 90% of our potential. We were supposed to tap into the full 100, not only for ourselves, but for, again, the consciousness development of humanity, to help evolve the overall spiritual development of humanity. And it's going to come through different ways. You become a doctor and you're helping do that. You're becoming a YouTuber and you're helping do that. You're becoming a business owner, you're helping do that. In some way, shape, or form, we're all brought here for that. We didn't come here just for ourselves. Yes, you need to improve yourself through self-improvement to help, first of all, master yourself. But once you've mastered the self, and this is a lifelong journey, you're able to help other people throughout that process and while you're at that level. So if you're struggling throughout your life right now because you had a spiritual awakening experience, and then you're going through a quote unquote psychotic state of limbo where you don't know what's going on with life, you don't know what happened, you don't know where you're supposed to go, you don't know why you don't want to do certain things that you were doing before, this is all a part of the process. This is all a part of the plan. Embrace it. Embrace the unknown. A lot of humans out there, it is human nature that they don't want to go into the unknown. They want to stay in the unknown. They want to go to the path of least resistance. They think that they know what's going to be the outcome of it. When you go through a spiritual awakening experience, you cannot go back, bro. There's something in your soul that's calling you, that's telling you, hey, bro, we need to go this way. Follow me. Trust me. Believe in me. Even if it gets a little sketchy time to time, believe in me. Believe in yourself. Have faith. This is what all religions preach, faith. You can't prove, quote unquote, a certain God or certain higher forces out there, but you have a faith in it. You see certain aspects of life that make you believe in it, even though God himself cannot, or God itself or whatever, doesn't really tell you, hey bro, yes, I'm real, I'm here. You pick up the pieces and you connect the dots. God speaks silently. The universe speaks silently. Same way it happens with your higher self, because your higher self is an emanation of the universe, of God. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. As above, so below. Come on, man, you dig what I'm saying? The Hermetic laws. As above, so below. So don't think that you're going crazy. Don't think that you're going nuts. Don't think you're going psycho, because a lot of people out there will perceive that the majority of population is normal, is doing the right thing, is on the right path. When in reality, those motherfuckers are crazy. And I'm not trying to bash on anybody, say that they're NPCs, they're this or that. We're all in that same boat one day, or we still are in that boat in some way. Spiritual wisdom and spiritual knowledge is helping you break out of that and tap back into your true essence, your true self. So when you look at the majority of people going on a certain path of life, and you had a spiritual awakening experience, and now you're taking a detour, you're taking a damn U-turn out of that, realize that the majority of people are usually sleepwalking. You were sleepwalking before this. Everybody was sleepwalking before this in some way, shape, or form. So those people are quote unquote the more crazy ones, because they're not thinking, they're not intellectual enough to actually question and self-inquire and self-reflect on the deeper aspects of life. They're just going with the flow. They're just going with whatever they've been told. They're just going with overall the status quo. They're going with what everybody else tells them. You're breaking out of that. Embrace that. Enjoy that. This is now a new start to your life. This is when life really starts. There's a quote from Carl Jung, a psychologist who blends in ancient mysticism to his work, that says man has 3 deaths, and so that means 3 different births. One is when you come out of your mom's womb. The other one is when you realize and you have a spiritual awakening and you become conscious to the spiritual aspect of reality. And the last one is when you die and you transcend to the next planes of human existence, of our spiritual development. This is your second birth. This is your new life. This is now living life while being conscious of life. Not being sleepwalking, not being unconscious, not being zoned out and droned out. Embrace it, enjoy it. A spiritual awakening experience is intense. It shifts your whole mindset, it shifts your whole paradigm, but this is what is needed for growth. You need to get in the uncomfortable zones of reality, of your own mind, of your own inner landscapes, of your own inner world. And then when you do that, your external world will shift as well. The more you wrestle with these types of thoughts, the more you grow. The more you're able to detach from the false perceptions of yourself, which are perpetuated by the ego, and tap into the true essence of reality. And when you tap into the true essence of yourself, of your own nature, the nature of self, the knowledge of self, gnosis, the more you tap into the true essence of life. Because again, everything that we experience internally will be reflected out into the external world. So don't think that you're going quote unquote crazy. Yes, it is a psychotic episode. It is a psychotic breakdown. It is a whole shift in everything that you think in life was true to now being false. But this is what's needed. This is what's necessary for your growth, for your development. This is the dark night of the soul. This is when you start realizing that quote unquote everything you've been taught, everything you've been thinking was false. And now you start to paint the picture for yourself. You start paving your own path. This is exciting. Embrace it. Not many people will be benefited with a spiritual awakening throughout this incarnation, throughout this lifetime. A lot of people will just be zoned out and droned out throughout their entire life. And they'll die with that same state of consciousness. You were gifted and you were blessed to be able to break out of that. What are you going to do with it now? How are you going to approach this now? How are you going to go about the rest of your life with this information, knowledge, and experience now? Be grateful. Be ecstatic. Be excited, motherfucker. This is where things really start to turn up to the next level. And when things start to turn up to the next level, there comes new devils. With each level comes new devils. Comes new obstacles, comes new things in your way that's going to try to push you back into your old ways. Each time you ascend above that devil, or you become victorious above that, you ascend to the next level and you acquire new skills, new knowledge, and new wisdom to help you keep on progressing. So this is your first obstacle, realizing that no, what I'm going through, what happened to me is a part of the plan, is a part of the process, is what I'm supposed to be going through, and I'm not going quote unquote crazy. Yes, you are in reality, but this is a good type of going crazy that you want in your life. You want to break out of that. You want to break out of the monotonous, just cycle, hamster wheel of the modern world. You want to be able to pave your own path, and you want to become a divine vessel for God. That is what we're all meant to do. Surrendering and submitting to the higher force to act out its will through us, and then we follow that path to our highest potential. That is the most fulfilling thing you can do as a man. Because as men, of course, we don't want to surrender, we don't want to submit. But when you surrender and submit to the flow of the universe, you go through effortless actions, Wu Wei as they call it in the Chinese and Taoist methods and philosophies. Wu Wei, effortless action. You're just flowing through life properly because this is the path you were always meant to go on. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things along the path. Again, new levels comes new devils. So those obstacles are going to be there. But now you have a certain guide with you, the higher self, the inner guru, that connection to the higher source, helping you cross that. Before, with your old self, it was society. It was whatever the matrix, the Maya, the illusion perpetuates to pull you in this direction. You have that inner dialogue of whatever they programmed in you. You're unlearning that programming and awakening to that side of you, that perception of you, that knowledge within you that's always been there, but it's just had so much baggage on top of that. The spiritual awakening rips through all that stuff, takes it all away, shreds it all away. Now piece it back up together properly. And when you do that, your life will be at its peak, be at its highest potential, because you are now embodying your highest potential. You picking up what I'm putting down, man? So if you go through your spiritual awakening experience, you think you're crazy, man. Yes, you are crazy, but you're crazy for the better. Embrace it, enjoy it. And if you haven't gone through your spiritual awakening experience, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe it's not as intense, maybe you already have. Maybe it's not as crazy as everybody else's. Embrace it, enjoy it. If you think that you're going against the grain, usually it's because that this is the path meant for you. There's a good quote by some of the greatest philosophers of our time, one of the Greek philosophers, that says, if you're on the side of majority, you should start questioning things, because you're probably going to be wrong. You're going to probably be on the wrong path if you're just following the majority of people. And that's why all these types of things are perpetuated to you. Social media, music, this, that are ingraining certain things into your life to follow a certain agenda. And when you follow that certain agenda, you follow whatever their end goal is, main mission is. You're not following your own divine goal, your own divine purpose, your own divine mission, your dharmic duty, you're not following that, and then guess what? You're not going to feel fulfilled in life. You're going to feel dread. You're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel shame. You're going to feel all these psychological turmoils, even though you might be quote unquote successful within the material world. That's going to leave you feeling empty. And when you're feeling empty and it's your time to go, guess what? All that karmic debt, all that dead weight that you've been carrying is going to pull you back in to the cycle of reincarnation once again, going about this in another lifetime, trying to fulfill that duty until you get to that point where you can ascend beyond the material plane, beyond the material world, and come into heaven, nirvana, moksha, turiya, whatever you want to call it. The spiritual awakening is step one, and it is the first part of this whole process. So enjoy it, embrace it, and realize that this is just the beginning. This is just the start of a new chapter. The start of a new book, actually. You closed the book before of your old life. Now you're rewriting, or you're writing your new book by relearning or unlearning all the stuff that you were said before, and now relearning all the stuff that was already within you, that now you have awakened to, that now you've dived into, that now you realize is the truth. So again, a lot of people will not go through that experience in life, that will not get to that level of consciousness in life. Embrace it, enjoy it. This is what spiritual wisdom and spiritual knowledge perpetuates. This is what self-mastery is all about. Stepping into the unknown to be able to expose yourself to all the different aspects of life in order to master that. On a video game, when you go through to a map and it's all blacked out because you've never been there, once you start delving into the quests, the missions, and all that stuff in that region of the map, it starts opening up. This is what you're doing within your spiritual awakening experience and throughout this process of self-mastery to get to the point of self-realization. Self-mastery is a process of unlocking parts of the map, and when it's fully unlocked, you are self-realized. And that means the map of your mind, the map of your body, and the map of your soul. When you realize those things, when you start get to those points of mastery, then you realize life for itself. Because again, we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. If you understand the knowledge of self, you understand the knowledge of life. And this is step one to this process. So again, enjoy it and embrace it. You are going crazy, motherfucker. You are going crazy. But hey, man, everybody else is even crazier than you who are not going throughout this process. So if you take that detour, you take that U-turn on your life trajectory, this is for the better. This is for a bigger purpose. And it might not be known right now what that is or where that's going to lead you, but just have faith and follow that inner voice, that divine essence within you that's going to help you navigate throughout this whole process. Get what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? That is truly one of the most exciting parts of this journey and exciting parts of life, starting your new life. So with all that said, man, it's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that game so you guys can make these gains, and I'm out here. Peace.